What's up, y'all? It's Truth Tiger, and I'm going to talk about the spiritual narcissists. And, hell is guaranteed for the spiritual narcissists. And, don't take that out of context. I'm saying that more in broad terms. I'm not saying each and every single one of them won't be redeemed, but, by and large, 99.9% of them will fall down into hell. And, I have scriptures to support this. The first being, don't take the name of the Lord in vain. And again, these people, and I'll also tell you what that really means, because a lot of people don't know what that actually means. On Truth Tiger, we reveal the mysteries of God, and we reveal the knowledge, the true knowledge that's important. But yeah, what it means is, it just means don't say you're a part of God, or you're of God, or you're representing God, or you're a God's servant, or God's child, or you're God's friend, or, God's your big man, or whatever it is, It just means don't do any of that if you're going to act a fool and act disrespectful, and don't make churches and religions that are based around things that are hateful to God and are based around things that God doesn't stand for. And, a lot of people are doing that in churches and in religions and in the whole world, where they're saying it's all about God, but really they're all about themselves. They're all about their own egos, and in the end of the day, their true God is actually Satan, whether they know it or not, I grew up as an Orthodox Jew. I talk about that a lot, and I saw a lot of people say they're about God when they're actually representing the forces of evil, whether they know it or not. And then when I became a Christian, went to the churches, I found the same thing, that it's people who are saying they are about God, but are really representing the forces of evil. They have hate in their hearts. Things come from a place of fear. Things come from a place of shame and jealousy. Things are not coming from a place of love or truth or kindness. The godly attributes are not being represented by these people at all. And they're forsaking the name of the Lord and what they do. Big time, really big time. And the other verse I have is, Jesus says, those who blaspheme the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven on earth or in heaven, and we as chosen ones, if you don't call yourself a chosen one, that's fine, but us true people of God, what the heck's going on there? People who truly have the Spirit of the Lord, that's what he's referring to, is that Spirit of God that's within them. And he's probably referring to the Spirit of God in general, but, when someone really is in defiance of God's Spirit and of God's way, and they really define that hardcore and are just doing some narcissistic, snaky, manipulative, weird stuff, and they're doing it to someone who is filled with the Spirit of God, and they're just doing whatever they can to go against the Spirit of God and goodness and truth and, the Holy Spirit from heaven, from the Creator of all. And Jesus says, you can blaspheme me, you can talk about my Father in heaven, but if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, there's no forgiveness. And that's what they do. They're kind of, finding ways to take advantage of us, hurt us, cause problems for us in our lives, and these people, they're doing it under the guise of religion. They're doing it under the guise of God. They're saying, oh, I'm a pastor, oh, I'm a this, oh, I'm a that, and, they don't care at all. It's like that character I do, John Dickerson, Pastor John Dickerson. A lot of the churches like that, and they're just trying to fill their pockets, get more money, get earthly success. And I hate to say this, but when you get involved in the church and stuff, it's just like a lower level of person, a lower level of morality, a lower level of ethics, more narcissism, more fakeness, more problems. People just don't really have good characters there, and I think they use it as a form of pseudo-morality, so they can kind of pretend to be a good person and, play the role of a quote-unquote good person and use religion and beat their chest rather than actually doing good in their life, treating others with kindness, being real about stuff. Instead, it's just so much fakeness and manipulation and stuff. And I've read comments from people that have, been scammed out of a lot of money by the church, have been indoctrinated into cults by the church. The cult thing, I've watched videos about it. I've read comments about like that thing. Like, there are so many churches that are just freaking becoming cults, and man, it's really not good. You want to talk about blaspheming the Spirit of God. You want to talk about forsaking the name of the Lord, turning your church into a cult. Man, that's like, those people guaranteed sentence to hell. They will not be forgiven. There is no forgiveness for people like that, And again, it's like these spiritual narcissists have been like after me my whole life, and they're Jezebels too for the most part. They're either some weird bitchy lady or some weird effeminate bitchy little guy, or both, and oftentimes they work in tandem. And when I got involved in the church, I had some people like that I had to deal with. I had someone I trusted. I'm studying to be a pastor, all this stuff, and I'm going to teach you the Bible, blah blah blah. Turns out, total weirdo, total narcissist, just completely obsessed with himself, ego obsessed, and just a sad, pathetic, narcissistic, destructive weirdo. And I know a lot of people have dealt with that, and a lot of people have married people from the church, and then they're married to a narcissist, and narcissistic pastor, and just all this kind of just stupidity, that people are having to deal with. And, God sees it. God sees how these people are acting, and he is going to reserve the bulk of his wrath and the bulk of his judgment for these people. And these people are going to go up to heaven and be like, oh, I said Jesus, Jesus. And Jesus is going to say to them, I never knew you. That's in the Bible, That's in the Bible. Jesus says people will perform signs and, say I converted people, and say I gave to charity, I fasted, Jesus, Jesus. And Jesus Christ is going to look at them and say, I never knew you. And they're going to be thrown into hell for all eternity, And when you've dealt with narcissists, you know why eternal damnation exists. You know why there's a hell, If I go up to heaven and I got all these narcissistic people, it's not going to be heaven anymore, There goes the neighborhood. The good people need to be separated from the bad people. The good people need to receive the greatest reward, and the evil people need to receive the greatest punishment, And that's what it's going to be for all these narcs, especially the spiritual narcs, is eternal damnation, They think the church and religion is some social club for them. They think they can gallivant around and beat their chest and do all this false morality and do all this ridiculousness, and make all this noise and bang on a drum. And it's actually funny. There's some people, I don't know what their thing is. I think maybe they're Hindu or Muslim or something. I don't know, but they're literally out there in the park, like banging on these drums super loud, and it's more kind of the way of the old world where they would actually bang on a drum super loud. But yeah, it's the same thing. The Pharisees praying loud. When I was a Jew growing up, people would, you get together and you do your prayers, and people would do this thing where they shuckle back and forth and they move back and forth. They try to look like they're concentrating so hard and they're praying so hard and all this stuff. And, in the church, you'll hear about, and I took this mission trip and, I went to the Philippines and, but they can't even treat their own families well. They can't treat the person next to them well, but they can do some mission trip to Africa or whatever, and it's all the same thing. It's a bunch of manipulation and a bunch of games, and God sees what's going on. He's not happy about it. He's angry, He's pissed. He's very angry. And these religions are going to be judged, and same goes for the New Age too. They blaspheme the Spirit of God as well. They might say it's the universe or whatever, but before you know it, you got some guru and some scam artists saying they speak for the universe and, all this stuff. That's kind of what my character, Raj Palaman, is about. And, and the New Age people go, oh, the universe, oh, when they do that whole, the universe, but, and if they're being abusive and creepy and weird, which a lot of them are, that's blaspheming the Spirit of God. That's taking the name of God in vain. They're not saying God, they're saying the universe, but in their heart it's the same basic idea. The universal creative force, the universal intelligent creator who created all of us. They're referring to that, They are, and they're using that as a way to hoodwink their followers and to take advantage of their followers and to take advantage of people's money and be narcissistic weirdos. There's a guy named like Bentio Masako or something. I can't say his name. He's a weird blonde guy, but like he's a real abusive fucker, and he's in the New Age and a lot of creepy stuff going on with him. I've heard some stuff about a lady called Teal Swan as well, and just a lot of weird, creepy, abusive things are going on with that. And any kind of cult leader outside of religion, any kind of Jim Jones or whatever, they're claiming some type of God or higher power, even if they're calling it aliens or I don't know what they're doing, but they're claiming some type of, Scientology is doing the same thing. They're claiming some kind of higher intelligence, some kind of higher knowledge, some kind of God of sorts, and they're using that as a way to manipulate people, a way to control people, and it's the same kind of playbook. And even self-help is kind of doing the same thing too. Like, when I look at the New Age, the prosperity gospel, self-help, it's all kind of the same, It's a different tone, it's a different kind of vibe. The New Age is going to be more some liberal guy from California or whatever, or Sedona, Arizona or something, and whatever. The prosperity gospel is going to be more a southern guy from Texas or whatever, and self-help kind of runs the gambit. It could be anybody, but the idea, it's just a different mask that Satan's wearing. It's a different flavor of the scam, and it's a bunch of ridiculousness, These spiritual narcissists, man, God is going to judge them big time. Like, God does not like people going around acting like they represent him and taking advantage of people and lying and being weird and being creepy and, all this stuff. I think some big televangelist pastor guy got caught, doing stuff with a 12-year-old boy recently, It runs the gambit. I mean, freaking the Dalai Lama, I think they caught him kissing a boy on the mouth, It runs the gambit. All these guys are creepy, and it doesn't matter what it is. It runs the gambit, and there's some creepy person who's trying to take people's money and is trying to do creepy things sexually as well, usually too, That's just the way it is, It's some weird, creepy person who they put on this good face and like, look, people enable it too. They go, oh, the pastor, he's so intelligent, oh, he's so great, and you have all these enablers that just gather around the spiritual narcissist and enable them and say they're so great and so awesome and and just like, man, like, you're just empowering all those people. It's like, why are you empowering the devil? Why are you going to work for the devil? Why are you submitting to the devil? Why are you doing that? And the devil, Satan masquerades as an angel of light, The devil tries to make himself look like the good guy. I'll make another video about that, but it's just a bunch of ridiculousness, and these spiritual narcissists, I think, are really the most shameless because they're trying to represent some sort of higher good, some kind of good force, and they're just completely apathetic, completely, don't care and stuff, and yeah, and it's just, it's a bunch of ridiculous stuff, and yeah, I recently read this thing in like Saudi Arabia, like 1,000 people died at the Muslim pilgrimage and stuff from heat and whatever, and it's just like things like that just happen, and it just seems like, man, like, if you all were really about loving your fellow and doing the right stuff, like, these kinds of things wouldn't occur, these kinds of things wouldn't happen, but it seems like that kind of falls by the wayside, And it's just like they're just about themselves, That's all they really care about is it's me, with these spiritual narcissists. And it's a level of deception, that they're doing on people. Like the way they're lying to people, the lies and the manipulation of these spiritual narcissists is really especially disgusting. They're one of my most hated kind of narcs. I would say the narcissistic husband is worse because he has a responsibility as a man to not act like that, to protect his children. He's not doing that, And these spiritual narcs, like, they have an opportunity to, or not an opportunity. They have, sorry, well, the words are kind of failing me right now, but like, they have an expectation, they have a duty, to, do good and to be good people, and especially with how they're kind of presenting themselves and how they speak of themselves and how they say, I'm about this thing, I'm about that thing, and I'm about God, and I represent goodness, and I do goodness, and I'm a good person, and blah, 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 when in fact it's the complete opposite. And I think in a lot of ways they're deceiving themselves and lying to themselves and telling themselves they're good people when really they're not, and you could just see it being around them. And sorry, you could feel the unfriendliness, you can feel the weirdness. And I know a lot of you, like myself, have been genuinely seeking out God, genuinely seeking a connection with Jesus Christ, genuinely trying to find that, and these people are just in the way. And, it doesn't matter. It's in all religions, all religions that are doing this. It's the church, whatever, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hindu, Buddhism, whatever. All the religious people that are doing this, that are misguiding people, it's going to be hellfire for all of them, If, let's say, you had some Buddhist Zen monk who doesn't know about Jesus, but he's actually trying to teach people to be more charitable, and he's actually truly a good man, like, there would be some positive goodness. God would actually look at that and be like, well, those people are being charitable, they're being kind, whatever. But a lot of times, or most of the time, it's just some scam, and the people are just getting pimped out. They're being put into a cult. They're being taken advantage of, Then you got these people next to you that are, and, I'm so spiritual, brother, could you do a good deed for God and help me with so-and-so? And could you babysit my kids? Could you help me move? Could you da-da-da-da? And you can just tell, like, these people do not have a grip at all on anything. And they're hoping someone else will figure their life out for them, They're hoping someone else will take care of them. And it's just like, they have not become their own person, And I say this a lot, like, the people who genuinely have God in their heart, the people who are strong with the Holy Spirit, the church ends up stabbing them in the back, and they end up leaving. They end up having bad things happen. Someone gets up on them about money. They have some narcissist that deals with them. They get narked out. Whatever, I've heard so many stories from so many people about, like, I heard one from a guy I talk to sometimes, and he was talking about a guy he knew who used to be in the criminal lifestyle and was doing drugs and all this stuff, and then, God made a miracle. He got off drugs just instantly in a day, and turned his life around instantly, and, got things right with his family and his kids and his wife and whatever, and started going to church. Then, 3 years later or so, he's just like, I can't deal with these people. They just want money. Like, and it's like, and how I feel about that, it's like, the God I have and the God of these kind of weirdos is not the same God for the most part, The Jesus I have and the Jesus these people have is not the same Jesus for the most part, Some of them, yeah, but for the other ones, it's Satan. It's a bunch of fakeness. It's a bunch of silliness. And they're just trying to, like, get other people to approve of them. They're trying to get other people to go, oh, wow, they're so religious. Isn't he such a good person? Isn't she such a great person? Oh, wow, and that's what they want. They don't really give a crap about God, and they're very materialistic, too. I'll notice that, because I remember I grew up among the Jews, and People would do a bit of that. They're, what are you doing for work? Where are you going to school? Blah, blah, blah. When are you going to get married? Blah, blah, blah. And I kind of thought that was like, all right, that's maybe a cultural thing. Outside of Judaism, that's not really a big thing. And then I went to the church, and I found the exact same kind of attitude, where it's like, man, like, you know, didn't Jesus say for the rich man to go to heaven, it's like a camel going through the eye of the needle? And I'll tell you what that means. A lot of bonus in this video for you guys. What it means is, the eye of the needle refers to a very narrow city gate. So the cities back then would be walled, and you'd have a big wide open gate that, like, you know, merchants would come through, and the king would come through, and then you'd have all these little narrow gates off to the side that just regular commoners and, you know, whatever, average people could just kind of shuffle on through, so they wouldn't have to have the door opened. And you know, you could you know, close these little gates up pretty easily if there's invasions or something. So these would be called the eye of the needle. And if you had a camel full of goods, your camel wouldn't even fit through. So you'd have to, if you want to go through that gate and not the main gate, you got to leave your camel outside. You know, you have to unload the camel, take the goods through. The whole point is just like, for the rich man to go to heaven, it's like they have to leave that worldliness behind. They have to be able to put the camel with all the goods outside of the city and take what they have in heaven. You know, that's what he's really saying, you know. And they don't get that in church. It's all about, you know, it's so many people getting on me about money, job, this, that. And I realize part of it's that they want donations, but it's just like, man, are y'all kidding me? This is not the spirit of it at all, you know? What's going on here? And then a lot of people are not actually in a good place with that. You know, I lost my job, or I have a business and it's not doing well, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, huh? You know, and I see a lot of people are really struggling, actually, and it's confusing. And like, I've even seen a lot of people doing, and I mean, this is more than one person, a couple people, they're doing pyramid schemes, they're doing crypto scams, they're bringing in all kind of weird stuff, you know, into the church, and they're trying to combine that. And I've seen that happen quite a bit, unfortunately, and I've heard a lot about it, and they're bringing pyramid schemes and crap into the church. The Jezebels especially seem to like that. You know, it's a weird, creepy group of ladies, and we're going to sell this Tupperware or some, you know, really bad freaking protein bars or some crap like that, or some new supplement that's going to, you know, cure cancer, and we got some herbs from the Himalayas, and, you know, and there's this magical root that grows in the Amazon rainforest, or, you know, and that's where the church and the New Age kind of cross over, you know. I have a funny story, actually. Like, when I was 18, I was working a job, and I had a boss there, and he was super New Age guru, weird guy. He told me a lot about all this weird stuff he did. He gave me this dirt water stuff to drink because I had a cold, and he told me he was in the service of some guru named like Sati Sai Baba or something in India or whatever. And I looked into it. It wasn't legit, you know. The Sati Sai Baba would want to give men a little downstairs inspection, and I saw this guy was like, he would make, you know, necklaces appear out of nowhere, and I saw he has these big thick robes with these big long sleeves, and he's going, and then like a piece of candy or some necklaces will fall out, and the followers are all hypnotized and weird, so they're like, oh, wow, you know. And it's just spiritual narcissism at its finest, you know. And I feel bad for this guy that he got sucked into all that, but at the same time, like, man, be a critical thinker, think for yourself, have discernment. Like, good God, you know, stop enabling. Man, you know, talk about an enabler, that guy. Yeesh. All right, y'all, I think I covered some good points in this video. If y'all could leave a like, you know, subscribe if you haven't already, comment, whatever, all that kind of stuff is super helpful. Everybody who's riding with me, supporting me, rocking with me, I appreciate you all so much. Yeah, you know, God bless, much love, God be with you. Yeah, I love you all. Have a good weekend, and Truth Tiger is out.